During the summer of 2013, Malca Schotten, an artist based in Norfolk, created larger-than-life drawings of local people, all aged over 65. During the sittings held at the library at the Forum in Norwich, their conversations about life, love, work, politics and much more were recorded on camera. The result is this film made by local teenagers who were trained by BBC Voices. You can read more about the sitters' personal stories and about the whole project on the I'm Not Dead Yet blog.
My daughter rang yesterday from Italy, and I told her, and she say, "Blimey, what the hell have they got to do with a drawer that size?" I say, "I don't know, but I say that's as big as a kitchen door." Did you watch A Trooping of the Colour at all?
No.
That was on. I happened to turn the television on when I come indoors for something on Saturday lunchtime, and that was on. Oh, that was beautiful.
What was it?
I love all them massed bands and the marching and the horses. And
So when's your next tournament? Is it? Are they called tournaments?
Yes. Yeah, I might enter one called the Norfolk Open, which means that's anyone in the British Isles, any of the clubs can enter. That's at the university.
Yeah. And is that expensive to enter for?
No, that ain't terribly expensive, but that's terribly exhausting.
Oh, is it?
As for a cert, they will got to be younger than you to start with.
Yeah.
And the ones who are going to beat you can be 50, 60 years younger.
I mean, you enjoy fencing them, but it's not.
Oh,
It's not the competition you want. It's just the play.
The experience you get out of it.
Yeah.
You learn a lot, mind you, and you get a good workout. Because I mean, they don't care how old you are. If you drop dead on the spot, they ain't worried about that. They're just worried about beating you, and you're worried about not letting them. I had a happy childhood, but I was like I am now. I always wanted to play about. I didn't want to learn, and so I never excelled at anything, ever.
So you sort of enjoyed it, but you didn't.
But I liked school.
Yeah.
I liked going, and I didn't like leaving. I suppose that was a lazy way out. I just liked being there.
Yeah.
I didn't like the thought of going to work. I suppose I didn't really like the thought of earning the money either, because I probably had enough. Didn't have much money, but I lived with my grandmother, so I suppose I had most things that I wanted. Because we always laugh now if there's a penny or anything changed, we always say that's halfpenny for going. You always used to get halfpenny for going.
What does halfpenny for going mean?
That was, well, you go and do an errand for somebody and they'd give you a halfpenny.
Ah.
I put all the vinyl onto tape now.
Onto cassette tape? And you've got a cassette tape that still works, have you? Because they don't sell them anymore, do they?
I don't think so.
No.
But this is an all-in-one job.
Oh, yeah.
Tape, cassette, phonograph, as they call them these days. Back in the early days of what was called the trad boom, I spent a lot of my wasted youth in jazz clubs.
Did you ever go to Ronnie Scott's?
Ronnie Scott's was more modern, saxophone stuff. King Collier, the 100 Club, and various others around London itself. I said to her, I've been dressing to please other people all my life now. Various school uniforms, military uniforms, business suits. I'm 76 now, I don't give a damn what anybody else thinks now. I dress to please me.
Good for you. enough milk in there.
That's
for you?
lovely. No, don't complain. Give it me black and I'll drink it like that. I prefer it slightly weak. She was cremated, and it's gone, hasn't it? It's ash and something like that.
Yeah.
You can't think of any. I mean, it's daft thinking of resurrection, but if there's a body there in a grave, you can always, vaguely think resurrection, but ash, it's gone, it's gone. There's nothing can happen,
Did you scatter her ashes?
Her ashes are in Coney, in a grave in Coney. I've been to several times there, to other funerals.
Yes, I have.
And every time I think how nice it is.
Yeah.
And it's on what's called Chestnut Hill.
Yes.
And it's a nice quite a flat area, but I've been to some where God knows how they bury them down those sides. Yeah, on the sea. Em was mad on pink. She wore a lot of pink, and we had a pink coffin.
Did you?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's taken on since then, but we had a pink coffin.
Gosh.
We walked her up the crematory drive as well. I've never been very emotional, but I didn't know how. Strange enough that you say that. I didn't know how I could hurt when Em died. I cried an awful lot. That really, really, got to me. That really, I didn't think I was. I didn't think I was capable of that. That really, really hurt. I could hardly open my mouth without crying at that time. And it takes a while to get over it.
And how do you feel? Because I'm not going to draw you as a pretty young girl.
No. No. But I don't think I ever was that pretty. I mean, I was passable. I was quite sweet, and little and blonde and pleasing. But I wasn't a beauty or anything like that. I mean, and the other thing was that because I suppose I worked in a man's world as well, in a way, and latterly in construction where they're men, you were given no quarter really because you were a woman.
We drove across country to, we were going up to New Jersey first to visit some relatives of Jim's, and we went across the Delaware Bridge.
Yes.
And I smelt salt air, so I made Jim stop the car in the middle of the bridge and hopped onto the pavement and stood for about 10 minutes inhaling salt. It was wonderful.
At that time, bacterial genetics was a very new subject, and it was showing that bacteria behave rather differently from all other organisms in the way that they exchange genes, the equivalent of mating, the way their genes are organized and lots of things like this. Whereas fungi, although they're microorganisms, their genetics is very much the same as that of plants and people and animals and higher organisms generally.
I'm so glad you got your children with you still.
Yeah.
They're that age now that they're with you for over this period.
Yeah. So.
They help. For one thing, you've got to look after them.
Yeah.
And the worst thing when it happens to you at this age is you've got nobody to look after.
Yeah.
And a woman's life is very much a looking after.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And you think, what do I like to eat? Well, you've always bought for other people. All sorts of things like that.
It's being needed, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. And that's what I feel like, unneeded. Yeah.
Well, Mr. Can't Keep His Trousers On was, terribly amusing, terribly witty, very good company, delightful in all sorts of ways, totally intolerant. But I just, we got together every now and again, and then quite over a period of a lot of years, repeatedly, and we'd have about a glorious year or a couple of years even together. And then I'd discover all the infidelities, People would tell me.
Oh.
Norfolk's very tiny.
Yeah.
And anyway, finally, I said that's it.
While I'm here, I said, can I have 3 minutes in your, or I thought it was 1.5 minutes in your tanning booth, you see. So, yeah, okay. So I paid her the money and got in. And it was sort of weird because I felt like a chicken. Have you ever been in a stand-up? Oh, you have to try it once. You should try it once because it's like being inside a microwave.
Bear in mind, these swollen kneecaps is armour protection
Yes,
for
I can
my
see
bike.
that for your bike.
Right, don't say, he's got water on the knee.
No. So how fast can you go on your bike?
Oh, downhill with the wind behind me, 45 miles an hour. It started out as a bit of a joke, actually, because I said, summertime, coming to work, be nice to actually, because I've got a motorbike licence, nice to come to work on 2 wheels rather than 4. In the 60s I had, during the mod era, I had a Vespa, but always wanted a Lambretta, but they were a bit dearer, so I could never have one. So my wife said to me, well, in that case, when I was a teenager and all the mods were around, my parents would never let me go on one. So if you're going to get a Lambretta, you've got to put all the chrome and the mirrors on it and do it just as though it was from the 60s. I do domestic workouts.
Domestic workouts?
Because I do a lot of DIY. For example, Saturday and Sunday, I was laying a new kitchen floor.
Gosh.
A very nice stripped ash floor, which necessitated taking all the utilities out and the dishwasher and everything else.
So you do all that?
Yeah. I had a farmhouse that I rebuilt many years back, but now I like the DIY. Oh, well, I'm a Capricorn. Capricorns are very tidy. I'm very tidy. I mean, workshop, everything's got its place, and you know, I know exactly where everything is. Oh, you're moving on to the big one now, are you?
I am, yes.
No, I've always liked the early mornings.
Yeah.
When we're away on the boat, I'll lie in, and a lie in, of course, is another 3 hours till 5:30. And then, especially when it's light, I'll get up, I'll creep out of bed, and I'll go a walk along the riverbank for 2 hours with the dog. I'll come home and come back to the boat ready for a hearty breakfast. Do a bit of fishing, bit of reading, then go for another walk.
And is this you on your own or with your wife?
No, my wife, yeah.
Well, I haven't got your eyes, and you have got very nice, smiley eyes.
Yeah, fabulous, aren't they?
You have, yeah, you have. No, they really are. They're very, well, they're like schoolboys.
Are they?
Yeah. You can tell your wife that. She said I've got schoolboy's eyes.
You still really keep starting again?
Yeah, no, I do lots.
Oh, I see.
So it's like, because they're very fast, and so, and while we talk, so I just sort of plot marks down and get the pose.
I was born in London, but brought up in Brighton and Hove.
Ah, and you went to school?
In
there
Brighton,
in
yeah.
Brighton,
Yes.
but you didn't like school.
I didn't like school.
And why didn't you like school?
School didn't like me either.
Why was that? Because you were different, or
I was naughty.
you were naughty? Why were you naughty? Do you think because you were bored?
Yes.
Yeah.
In the summer, I used to not go to school in the afternoons because we were just round the corner from the county cricket ground. And so I used to go there instead.
So you used to bunk off? How old were you?
16, 17, 18.
Just because you loved cricket, or you liked watching the players?
I hated school. And I really, really loved cricket. So it was a no-brainer, as they say nowadays. It was easy to make the decision.
He said, we get from the camels. He said, you know how to make the camel go down? No, he says, I show you. And he's sitting on his and we're on ours, and he goes, he says, you do it. So I went, and the camel gets down. Wonderful. He went to the saddlebag of his camel, fished out the most delicate little teapots and cups. He had a can of water with him, and he rinsed these cups out. I'll never forget it. He put a drop of this water in one cup and he rinsed it round with his fingers, dirty fingers, and he did the other cups. I was passing the end of the road and near this parade of shops where the greengrocer's was, and I stopped and I looked down the road we'd lived in, and I hadn't been there since 1946, and we were number 20 at the end. And I walked right down and I looked at the house, and there were two little girls playing in front. The front door was open, summertime, and I opened the gate and I went in, and I said, is your mummy in? And this woman heard me and came to the door. I said, I lived here from when it was new, and I was 7 in 1930, and I told her I went away. And I said, tell me one thing. I said, behind you on that banister post, near the top, there's, on those posts, there's a square bit at the top and then a knob, isn't there? I said, on one of the corners, is there a chip out of it? Yeah. And she looked round and she said, oh yes, she said, I'd never noticed that before, and the corner's chipped away. I said, would you like to know what did that? She said, yes. I said, it was my grandfather's coffin when they carried it down.
Brilliant.
And I kept that chip for years. I kept it. We hired some bikes and we rode down this road southwards. There was nothing on it. There was the beach on one side and rocky sort of hillside the other side. All of a sudden there was a bang. I got shot in the shoulder. Oh. I think it must have been a pellet from a shotgun. Oh, there's so many things happen to you in a lifetime, aren't there?
Yeah.
Good God, the older you get, the more things there are.
Yeah.
And then they sent me to every cosmetics company ever. So I would spend a week with Elizabeth Arden, Longcombe in London, in Grosvenor Street, and they would take you to Grosvenor House for dinner. It was amazing. These days, cosmetic consultants get 2 days training, if they're lucky. Well, then I went to the Outback. The population was 1,200 people. The roads were all dirt roads. There were no sealed roads. And the next town was 100 miles away. So we had the chemist shop. And I wore mini skirts because it was the 60s. And Mary Quant had just organised us in London. False eyelashes and mini skirts. My son's quite respectable and quite conservative. I don't know how they got to be like that with a mother like me, but he is. He lives in Sydney with his Greek wife.
They must think you're the coolest granny out, eh?
I think they think I'm a bit weird. Yes, they do.
They'll
say
think you're cool when they're older.
Well, you know what happened? I said to my son, don't have children. Whatever you do, don't have children. Don't get into debt, don't get mortgages, just have a nice life. Keep yourself in money. You've got to earn enough money to keep yourself. But you don't have to do all that mortgage and all that, have children, send them to very expensive schools. You don't have to do that. So what's he do? He does all that.
Have you ever been drawn before?
No.
That amazes me. when I was young, I was really influenced by Nancy Cunard and Edith Sitwell, and these sort of women in the fashion industry. And
That's good.
you sort of remind me of that